Hey guys, it's Timo from Flipping Central back here with another video where today I'm going to be taking a look at this $302 RTX gaming PC that I threw together. So stay tuned. So this PC I threw together after finding some nice hardware deals like I always do, and now I just wanted to go ahead and show you guys and make a little showcase out of it. So let's dive in. Originally, this build was set to be far more modest with an i5 9400 and a GTX 1070, but those parts didn't want to cooperate, so I had to upgrade it a little bit. First, I was getting some issues because the motherboard and the CPU weren't compatible with each other, so what I did is I decided to go ahead, look on Facebook Marketplace, see locally what type of deals I could get, so that way I could actually still list the PC the next day. And that's kind of how we ended up with the parts that I have now. As far as my CPU, I ended up going with the Ryzen 5 5600G, which is a nice 6-core processor, has integrated graphics. Now, that wasn't necessarily the selling point for me. The thing was, I was looking at potentially getting a Ryzen 5 4500, which I found at Micro Center for $70 brand new. But instead, I decided to go with this 5600G because a member of the Discord actually saw that I was looking for one, and he's local to me, and he said, hey, I have one on hand, 60 bucks, you can come take it. So I decided to grab that. For that price, it's a really solid bargain, and it's actually cheaper than the 4500 that I was looking at, so we take that. For my motherboard, I went with an ASRock A520N HDV, which I also got from Micro Center. The reason that I went with that is just because honestly, it was the cheapest one that I could find that was actually like compatible with Ryzen 5000 out of the box, didn't need to do an update or anything like that. And I ended up getting it on sale for $61.47 after tax for a brand new board. It has the IO shield, came with some SATA cables. Honestly, we take that all day. And it's going to be more than enough for this 5600G that I'm using it with. Nothing really too special to write home about. For my cooler, I went with the ID Cooling SE214 XT in the all black colorway to match the aesthetic of my build. I paid $19 after tax, and honestly, it's a really solid cooler. It looks nice. It's all black. Has 4 heat pipes, and it keeps the 5600G under load at around 70 degrees or so, maybe like give or take a little bit more, a little bit less, but yeah, that's with the fan speed down. It runs super quiet and not really too much to say about it. For my RAM, I got a 16GB kit of Neo Forza RAM clocked at 3600 megahertz and then CL18 as well. So overall, not too crazy timings, not too crazy speed, but obviously we're going to take that for that 5600G. It's going to be more than enough. And I got it at $17.68 after tax and shipping. Now, the way that I got it so cheap was actually I ended up buying a bigger bundle from another person in the Discord. So I decided, I mean, he threw that in for basically 15 bucks. So after shipping, 17 bucks for, you know, a kit of RAM is not too bad at all in this market. If you haven't joined the Discord already, definitely go ahead and join. I mean, there's a lot of guys that in there that will give you some nice deals. So yeah, you just gotta be on the lookout. But yeah, 16 gigabytes of RAM is going to be more than enough for a system like this, and it's going to pair well with the 5600G and that GPU that we have coming soon. Now, as far as my storage, I went with an SSD and a hard drive combo. So for the SSD, I went with the Samsung 850 EVO, and that's at 500 gigabytes. Nothing really too special. It is a SATA drive. Now, obviously, you're gonna, I mean, NVMe would be ideal, but I already had it on hand, and you know, I didn't really feel a need to change it, so I went ahead, stuck with that, and I believe that costed me around $19.67. And then for my hard drive, I just went with the random Hitachi 1TB hard drive. It actually came out on my personal system since I'm going to be moving to all SSD storage soon. So I just decided to throw it in the flip just so that way it's going to be like quite a bit better than just having 500 gigabytes. Now, the cables for the power supply that I was using are actually like quite a bit short, right, since it's from an OEM system. So I decided to get some Okinos black cable extensions for 20 bucks off at Amazon. They really fit the build nicely, and not really too much to say about them. It really does elevate the look though, from having just, you know, ketchup and mustard to having, you know, some really nice all black sleeve cables. All right, now for the part that you've been waiting for, the GPU. For the GPU, I went with an RTX 2070 Super from MSI, and I actually paid about 100 bucks for that. Now, the story behind it is that I, you know, was kind of, you know, I'm looking at Facebook Marketplace, I'm looking, just kind of seeing, trying to see what type of deals I can find. You know what I mean? I open up in the morning and I found a Ryzen 9 3900X as well as two 2070 Supers all inside of a system for $400. So had to grab that. I went ahead, headed out, grabbed that system, and then I decided to basically put the 3900X and one of the 2070 Supers in the system, and then the other 2070 Super is now in this build. Unfortunately, one of the fans was broken, but I decided to talk to the seller, basically reached out. He's like, hey, I found a set of fans on Amazon for this much. I can basically cash app you however much that was. So that's what we kind of agreed on. So as far as what it cost to get me a new fan, it was just like $5 out of pocket, which isn't really a big deal. So yeah, I ended up paying $105 for that 2070 Super, and it's in great condition now. For my power supply, I went with the 460 watt gold unit that I just had lying around on hand from an old pre-built that I basically parted out. Now, 460 watts is going to be kind of pushing it for the build of this caliber. It is a nice unit, but I think that probably if you did want to replicate a build like this, you probably want to go with something a little bit higher wattage, maybe 550, 600 watts, just to be on the safer end of things. But so far in my testing, I'm running at 100%, doing multiple stress tests, things like that for 24 hours straight. I haven't had any issues with it. Now, last but not least, for the case, I went with the Cypress 3 wood from Okinos. But Okinos were actually nice enough to send it out for us to try. Overall, the case was a pleasure to work in, and I was pleasantly surprised after using it. It comes in with 4 120mm fans. They're all pre-installed, all blacked out, and they're all 3-pin. So unfortunately, it would have been nice if they were PWM, but honestly, for this price, you can't really complain, and they do run fairly quiet, which is nice. Given that it does have all these fans and all that mesh, it helps this build achieve cool temps, mainly sitting in and around the 40s while idling or browsing, and no more than 70C under a full load whilst gaming, thanks to all the mesh in the front panel, the side vents, as well as the power supply basement. The fans came with a splitter, so there's no need to worry if you don't have 4 fan headers on your motherboard. USB-C on the front panel is a really nice addition for this price as well. Now, a lot of these lower end motherboards aren't going to be able to take advantage of that, unfortunately, but it is a really nice feature to have. The walnut wood on the front is real and certified, which is nice, unlike a cheap vinyl wrap or something like that other brands do. It makes the case actually feel more premium to me. This case fits micro ATX and mini ITX boards without a sweat, and cable management was fairly easy. A couple more tie downs would have been nice, but honestly, again, for the price, I can't really complain. I've seen far worse. Honestly, it was really good to build in, and I'm kind of a fan of the look. I think that like for a build like this where you're not really going for anything flashy, any RGB, nothing like that, I mean, it really just ties together a nice look. The build quality is there, everything you need is included, including a standoff tool, which many companies to this day of cheap cases are not adding on, which is a shame, but Okinos actually, added one. I was also able to fit this GPU despite the website saying that, obviously you're going to want something under 285 millimeters. Now, if you move the fans to be like basically outside of the case, instead of the pre-installed configuration that it's already in, then you can get up to 320 millimeters of GPU clearance. But I was able to fit this 297 millimeter Gaming X card without an issue. I did, however, have to uninstall the fans though before I could actually install the card. So what I did was I uninstalled the top and the middle fan, and then slotted in the graphics card. And then after, I had to basically like rescrew them in, which is not really too huge of a job or anything like that. The case is super compact and fits into most setups well with its wood accents and mid form factor. Overall, I'm happy with the experience with no notable negatives to mention. For the price of the build altogether, I paid $302.96, and now it's time to actually get into putting together the system and testing it out in a couple games. Let's go. Now with this build all said and done, I've got to say this has got to be one of my better builds in a long time. Just kind of the way that everything comes together, looks really nice, looks pretty premium. As well as the performance of this build has just been awesome. The Ryzen 5 5600G and the RTX 2070 Super definitely put in a lot of work, and they're really capable, especially for 1440p these days still. I mean, this 2070 Super is basically a 4060. I mean, it performs well. So yeah, what do you guys think? Would you build something similar for yourself? Or I guess let me know your thoughts down below. So yeah, guys, that's basically it for this upload. I know it kind of was a shorter one, but I do want to, put out more videos more frequently for you guys. Be sure to join the Discord down below. That's where you'll see us dropping deals. I mean, we'll be basically like interacting with you guys. I also do like little sneak peeks, throwing them in, here and there, down in general chat or wherever. And then yeah, also be sure to check out the Okinos Cypress 3 wood on Amazon. I'll go ahead, I'll link that down below, and then if there's any coupon codes or anything like that as well that are active, I'll go ahead and I'll add those in too. But even for 55, I think it's a really nice case. So yeah, be sure to go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. If you guys have any questions, if you have any thoughts, anything like that, please leave them down below. I'm curious to hear. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and see ya.